Hi guys and welcome back to my course. In this video, we will learn about class-based components and we will also create a stateful component. Let's say we want a button to show and hide this blog list. First, let's add a button, say hide list. So coming back to my app.js and over here, I'll just add a new button and let's say hide list. Let's save it. And as you can see, we've got a button here. So our button is in line. So let's bring it in the next line. So let's just make it break line over here. Okay, so now as you can see, we've got this button on the top. So what we want is on this button click, we want to hide this blog list. That means we need to add an on-click listener. For that, we can simply add it as an attribute. So coming back here, so to add an attribute, we can simply do on click and we can pass a callback function here. So let's create an anonymous function here, say on hide button click. For now, let's just try showing an alert, say button clicked. So we can simply use it here. So on hide button click, now we've passed the reference here. So coming back, so now when I click on this button, so as you can see, the on-click is working fine. We're getting this alert, but we do not have a way to re-render the component. This is where class-based components come into the picture. So coming back to our code, let's convert our function-based component to a class-based component. So coming up here, this is my function. So first, let's change this to a class. So we use the class keyword. These parentheses will go away. Pay close attention. Always remember to make a class as a React component. We need to inherit the React component class. So for that, we can simply do extends react.component. This component is the base class for all class-based React.js components. So this is one way of using the component class. We can also import it separately. So over here, comma, and inside curly braces, we can do component. Now we can directly use it here. So both the ways are fine. You can go ahead with whichever one you prefer. So we're getting some syntax errors here. So because now we're inside a class, we don't need to use these const and let keywords to define variables. We can simply write the variables without them. And these variables will be treated as class properties. Similarly, coming down here, even this will not have const. Let's remove it from here as well. Now this return statement. We cannot have a return inside a class. So this component class, it gives us access to a method called render. It returns all our JSX code or React elements which need to be rendered on the screen. And please note, this render method is called every time the component is created or updated. So let's add it. So coming back here, so let's add a render method. And inside this render method, we have a return statement. So whatever we were returning here, now we can return inside this return statement. We can get rid of this other return statement. So now this render method will return all the JSX code that we've put here. So now because we are inside a class and to use the properties or methods of a class, we have to use this keyword. So this dot on hide button click. Same goes for this block cards. So even this would be this dot block cards. So coming up here, there are two more errors. So it says blog array is not defined because we aren't accessing it properly. So this dot blog array and this dot blog array. Let's save it. Let's check our browser. So as you can see, everything is working perfectly fine. Now, to show hide these React elements, we can simply add a Boolean variable which decides whether to show the list or not. So coming here, let's create another property. Say show blogs. and let's make it true. So again, we don't need to use let here because we are creating a property. So coming down, so over here we can put that condition. So if show blogs is true, only then use this variable which holds our JSX elements, or else null. So all we've done here is, if this show blogs variable is true, then we are returning this block cards inside our return statement, or else we're just putting null. So let's save it, coming back, and as you can see, the cards are still visible. Now, if I change this value to false, the cards shouldn't be visible. So as you can see, the cards are gone. Now let's try updating that variable dynamically. So I'm bringing it back to true. And as you can see, the cards are back. So now instead of this showing this alert, let's change it. So show blogs is equal to false. And also let's try printing this blogs variable. So let's open our console. So when I click on this button, so as you can see, the value got updated, but the UI did not get updated. Any guesses why? If you remember, when we added render method, I told you this method needs to be called every time the component is created or updated. To manage this state of our components, the component class gives us access to a property called state, which stores the current state of our component, for example, storing the value of show blogs, which could be either true or false. It also gives us access to a method called setState. This method is used to update the state object, and once the state object is updated, it runs the render method. The setState method accepts an object and merges it with the state object. So let's give it a try. So coming here, so let's create state here. So remember, this is the property of component class. So we are just adding some values to it over here. So instead of having this show blogs outside, we can move it inside the object. And this would be colon, and there would be no semicolon here. So now this show blogs is inside the state object. And to update it, we wouldn't do assignment. We would use that method setState. So to use setState, again, we would do this dot setState. And inside the parenthesis, we pass an object which will get merged with our state object. So if you pass some key here, which is already present in the state, it gets updated. And when you pass a key here, which is not present in the state, it gets added. Also, when this method is called, it will update our state. So show blogs will be converted to false. And this render method will be called again with the updated state object. And the show blogs will now come from the state. So this dot state dot show blogs. Let's save it and let's check it out. So now when I click here, the cards are gone. This value is true. Now one more thing to remember, the setState is an asynchronous method. So you might not get the updated value right after you call this function. We will talk more about it in the coming videos, but for now, just remember this. So as you can see, it printed true here, but still, once the state was updated, it called the render method, and as you can see, the cards are gone. In the next video, we will take this ahead. I hope this gave you a better understanding of class-based component and the concept of state. But if you have any doubts or queries, feel free to drop a comment below or reach out to me on Twitter. I'll add my Twitter handle in the description below. See you in the next video. Bye and take care.